Just when you thought your memes would continue to be dreams, we get Sonic the Hedgehog coming to Magic the Gathering. These were shown off courtesy of IGN, Variety, and Game Informer, all of which have quite terrible websites, with IGN taking the absolute biscuit, being a website that's virtually unusable on mobile. Why we keep sharing these with major news outlets that have such terrible websites, I don't know. Well, I do know it's meant to bring eyes to the product, I guess, but my god, are these a pain in my ass to show you. Anyway, I'm going to show you them now, so you don't have to sit there and see all the ads that IGN are going to serve you. I really hope YouTube just served you an ad as I said that. This is the characters. This is one of the layers, which is pretty good for 7 characters with Sonic, Miles, Amy, Knuckles, Eggman, Shadow the Hedgehog, and a Super State. I'm going to go through these cards in particular one by one in a moment because they're all mechanically unique. Let's look at the other layers first. And if you like the cut of my jib, subscribe to my Patreon. There you go. That's the only ad I'm going to give you. Give me $2 a month and I'll call you a cunt. So there's like the equipment / artifact layer, if you will. This one is Tornado Sonic's Biplane, which is the Weatherlight. This is Power Sneakers, which is Lightning Greaves. Pico Pico Hammer, which is Hammer of Nazan. Knuckles Gloves, which is the Reaver Cleaver. Air Shoes with Swiftfoot Boots, which is the evil version of Power Sneakers, I guess. Is Shadow considered evil anymore? I'm not really sure. Egg Hammer is a Mirror Battle Sphere, and then we get a Egg Pawn Mirror. The Weatherlight is a very nice or very solid pick for the aeroplane that Sonic and Tails fly around with in the games. I guess I should make it very clear here that I am a Sonic the Hedgehog fan, because I am into retro video games pretty hard, but I was always a Mario kid growing up because I thought the Sonic games lacked substance. There were a lot of all polish and no breaks. That's not really a term, but you kind of get what I mean. The important thing about Tornado Sonic's biplane is that when it deals combat damage to a player, you get to look 5 deep in combat historic permanent, which would be any one of the characters from the main troop, or the villains if they've stolen the biplane, I guess, or any of the artifacts from this. So it's a pretty solid pick. I like this a lot. We've got Lightning Greaves for Sonic's shoes. This is absolutely perfect, but it does highlight something that I wanted to talk about in a video when it comes to secret layers and these reskins from other sets and the universes beyond. Lightning Greaves is a card that is printed like a million times a year. Every Commander product, every secret lair, every Universes Beyond product, and it kind of makes sense. It's a very popular card, and without those reprints, it would get very, very expensive, absolutely. But there's a point here to that. I guess we need a deeper well of hits and targets for our Universes Beyond crossovers. Having every single set have the special shoe be the Lightning Greaves gets a little bit old. We're going to see that with a few other cards in a moment too. What I do like though is that Sonic gets the iconic Lightning Greaves. Meanwhile, the 10 years later, or 8 years later, I actually haven't checked the exact timing, but Swiftfoot Boots is the new version of Greaves, even if they're older than most of the people watching this video. So it's cool that the newer character, again, Sonic the Hedgehog's newer character, alternate version, Shadow the Hedgehog, came about in what, 2002? When did Sonic Adventure come out? 1998? Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog's the new character to me, but it's cool that he gets the newer boots for that reason. Hammer of Nazan is Pico Pico Hammer, which is Amy's hammer. This is quite a solid reprint. This card is like $15 at the moment. A very, very like underprinted popular Commander card for Voltron decks, and Amy gets basically the only defining trait of her, that she is the girl one and pink and has a big hammer. More on that in a minute. Knuckles Gloves are the Reaver Cleaver, which is the one that gives +1/+1 on trample, and when this creature does damage to a player, you make that many treasure tokens, which is neat because Knuckles is the original, like, well, I say original. Originally, he was just like the more badass Sonic before Shadow became the more badass Sonic. Yes, I do sound a bit dismissive, but this is kind of what was the case, right? And then Knuckles got reinvented in the Adventure era to be a treasure hunter, I believe. That's what I remember from the Sonic Adventure 2 gameplay. Him and the sexy bat lady. God, I just said sexy bat lady about an anthropomorphic cartoon bat. What's the world coming to? Anyway, he likes treasure. And then Egg Hammer, which I assume is one of the bosses from one of the Sonics that I'm not 100% sure on, but it's a Mirror Battle Sphere, which makes Egg Pawns, which plays into what we're going to see with Eggman's mechanics. On the spell side of things, we've got Open the Armory, Generous Gift, Fabricate, Deadly Dispute, Soul Ring, Unexpected Windfall, and this incredibly cool treasure token showing the iconic Windmill Hill Zone. I really wanted to leave that in there, but I decided to actually like go back and tell you. I know it's called Green Hill Zone. Okay, I know. But this is like my favorite card from, almost my favorite card from the entire Lair cycle. This Soul Ring is pretty fucking cool though. This treasure is wicked. Something I just want to point out as we're looking at these is when you get a preview card, you talk about Wizards of the Coast not to alter the card in any way, not to put your face or watermark on it, because it's just annoying in the terms of sharing it around and stuff like that. Here we see a large website sticking the word Game Informer on the bottom right hand corner. We had this fucking last month as well with the Final Fantasy previews. Can big websites please stop fucking doing this? You don't need the exposure. It just makes the card images look shit. Open the Armory is an absolutely stellar reprint. Again though, it's interesting because like I wanted to say here, this is the shallow well of playable cards that evoke a certain thing. In this case, going into an armory. I imagine this card was put in both Warhammer and Fallout. Well, I knew it wasn't put in Warhammer because I have an intrinsic knowledge of those decks because I love them so much. But I assumed it'd been printed in the other sets, maybe even Assassin's Creed 2. Turns out it wasn't. It's one of those cards I think is going to be printed like this over and over to evoke that getting an item feel from different video games and other universes beyond stuff. Interestingly, it's not one of the ones here. Again, though, aim me and a hammer, am I right? Generous Gift is I love this art. This is one of the little animal critter friends that Sonic is trying to save from Eggman's like weird contraptions. Love this. Absolutely great. Probably the most inspired of the designs in terms of not being what I'd expect. Fabricate is another one of those ones I'm going to talk about with the shallow pool of cards. This was already used in Warhammer as the buyer box promo kind of thing, release promo. And we also saw it in Transformers as well. That means this is his third outing as a Universes Beyond Secret Lair / promo, which isn't actually that many. I expected more, but again, I think we'll just see this return to over and over because it's like the card that shows somebody being able to go and get or build a certain artifact, which is what has been done twice before with Fabricate in 40k and Transformers. I just think it's a shallow well in some ways. We'll have to start dipping into other ones like Reshape and Power. The one that untaps artifacts. Anyway, the interesting point though is that reprinting this is probably better than those from even with this like lack of depth criticism because Fabricate is $6 at its lowest, cheapest version. So we do need more printings of it because it's popular in Commander. Deadly Dispute was a $5 common at one point, but it's recently been printed into the ground. Shows Shadow arguing with Sonic over a Chaos Emerald, I think. I don't really get what's going on here. This is now Shadow's signature spell is sacrificing something else. Does he sacrifice things in the games? I don't think so. The Soul Ring, incredible. Absolutely zero notes. This is gorgeous. As a bit of a retro video game nerd, this is the one card that I really, really want other than the mechanically unique ones. What we will probably see though is the FOMO and the inability to actually get these as the queues become problems. I'm going to talk about that more in a moment. Unexpected Windfall, another look at me, I'm Knuckles and I make treasures. Again, I guess it's that the characters themselves in Sonic the Hedgehog aren't the deepest. So I feel a little bit uninspired by this stuff. I haven't read the flavor text yet. As far back as I can remember, I've been living here on this dark island, always guarding the Master Emerald from anything that can harm it. What's that got to do with Windfalls? Interestingly, this is the only card that shows Chocobos, not Chocobos, Chow. Chaos Chow? Chow, is that what they're called? Chow Garden? Anyway, a popular part of the franchise that we won't see beyond this. And that's what I'm going to mention before we go into look at all the mechanically unique cards, is that it's interesting that we're getting a Secret Lair selection of Sonics when I think Sonic fans would love to have seen some decks, right? They would love to have seen like a hero deck, a villain deck, maybe a sidekick deck. I don't know. I don't know how you'd want to separate these apart. Sonic fans can tell me in the comment section below. What this means is that we'll probably be our only outing with Sonic. We'll probably get more Sega licenses. I'm assuming that the contractual discussions between Wizards of the Coast and Sega involved other things. Maybe get some Choo Choo Rockets, some Crazy Taxi, some Jet Set Future or Jet Set Radio, maybe a single lair for each of those. But those franchises seem shallow enough that one lair is all you really need. Meanwhile, Sonic, the characters aren't all that deep, but there's a rich cast of characters and different things and set pieces and extended media to do something with that I think perhaps is a bit wasted when we only get a layer of it. Personally, I don't really mind. Sonic is not my favourite thing in the world. I still want these cards, but did you see what I'm getting at here? Is that this is the first time and perhaps last time we will get Sonic in Magic the Gathering for a very long time, if at all. And thus we won't see any Chow. And thus we won't see a card that is a Chaos Emerald, although we do see the Super State card here. Just an interesting thought I've had about these Universes Beyond Secret Lairs, that where we get like 4 cards and we're done. That said, if these 7 cards are the character layer together as one pack, this is quite a high value pack compared to what we've got with Street Fighter in the past. I think Street Fighter was less than 7. I think it was 4 or 5 cards per one. I could be wrong on that, but I'm not going to look it up. Sonic is a Jeskai 4-mana 2/4 hasting legendary creature Hedgehog warrior that has haste, and it says gotta go fast. Whenever Sonic the Hedgehog attacks, put a +1/+1 card on each creature you control with flash or haste. I really like this flash or haste matters. And whenever a creature you control with flash or haste is dealt damage, create a tapped treasure token. Now, to the best of my knowledge, we don't really have haste or flash matters as an archetype or as an design space in the past, and to give that to Sonic the Hedgehog, who is essentially a speedster, is super interesting. I wonder further down the line if we get Marvel speedsters like Quicksilver, or we get the Flash and a DC crossover, how they will look, how they will be mechanically different to this. Obviously they'll have haste, but I guess they'll care about haste. Either way, I really like the space. I also like the colour identity for Sonic here, mainly because it just feels like it fits. I guess I don't really know why he's blue. Red, white definitely fits. I don't really know why he's blue. Is he tech savvy? Is he that intelligent? But it does allow the other friends to be in his deck, but that's not really a good reason to make him blue. Well, it is a reason. It's arguable it's a good reason. Miles, a blue-white 3/1 Fox Artificer. He says he has flash, which means he gets powered up by what Sonic does, which is quite an interesting way of doing it instead of giving him haste. His flying, whenever a vehicle you control enters, draw a card if it has flying. Otherwise, put a flying counter on it. So all your vehicles fly now, or if they fly now, but if they don't fly, they draw your cards. Yeah, neat commander. I think that's just a very strong effect. Obviously, he's pulled back by the existence of not that many good flying vehicles. There's quite a few of them. Smuggler's Copters, Console's Flagships, Weatherlights, and similar. Actually, maybe I'm talking complete nonsense. I find it really interesting that he won't synergize with Spacecraft specifically from Edges of Eternity, which might have been on purpose or might be an example of where Spacecraft probably should have been vehicles. Amy Rose is a 4-mana 3/3 in Boros colors. She's a Hedgehog warrior. She's got haste. Whenever Amy Rose attacks, each of up to one target equipment to her, attach it, and then up to one other target attacking creature plus X plus 0, where X is her power. Cool, interesting. Okay, she cares about hammers. That's it. Amy's identity is somewhat boring, and it's really funny that, like, because of that, she's the Boros commander. Does that make sense for her personality? You can tell me in the comment section below if you've read some Amy Rose comic books. Interestingly, this gives us 2 hedgehogs, and there was not a single hedgehog in Bloomburrow, I believe. Oh, shit. Apparently, these are the first hedgehogs we've ever had in Magic. That's interesting. Speaking of first, here's an Echidna warrior with Knuckles the Echidna. 4-mana 2/4 double strike trample haste. This guy is absolutely stacked. Put an equipment on him, and he beats the living shit out of you. I guess that's what Reaver Cleaver's for. Whenever one or more creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure tokens. That's one or more creatures you control deals damage to a player. So that's once per turn on combat. Yeah, sure. And then Treasure Hunter at the beginning of your upkeep. If you control 30 or more artifacts, you win the game. That's right. Knuckles has quite a powerful alternate win condition strapped to him that will make him public enemy number 1 if you make more than 10 treasures and get even remotely close to this. I think this is the kind of commander that gets you targeted down pretty hard. Dr. Eggman is my favorite of the lot in terms of what he does. He's a 5-mana Grixis human scientist with flying. He's a 3/6 because he's got a fat booty. And at the beginning of your end step, draw a card. Then each opponent faces a villainous choice, which is a mechanic I love. That player discards a card, or you put a construct, robot, or vehicle card from your hand onto the battlefield, which means he plays well with all the new robots we're going to get in Edges of Eternity, and he plays well with original constructs like the Ymir Battlesphere scene in the other Secret Lair. The problem here is that he doesn't put Spacecraft into play, which doesn't play at all within the Edges of Eternity's Spacecraft, which makes me think like either like he's playing with robots, which is a thing from the new set, which I assume is planned. This makes me wonder if Spacecraft being changed from vehicle was a later thing in development that never got caught for this, because Eggman definitely has multiple spaceships across like the comic books and video games of Sonic. It makes sense they can put his like big egg Death Star thing into play, right? But here we are. And the Shadow of the Hedgehog is black, black, red, red. Hedgehog Mercenary. Ooh, that's a classic Magic the Gathering creature type if I've ever seen one. Well, not the Hedgehog, but the Mercenary. He has haste. He's a 4/2. Whenever Shadow the Hedgehog or another creature you control with flash or haste dies, draw a card. Seems pretty strong. Do like the haste mana as a sub-theme. Chaos Control. Each spell you cast has split second if mana from an artifact was spent to cast it. That's Mana Rocks, and that's Treasures too, right? That's a very cool effect because it makes your spells uncounterable. Split second's a very powerful effect. Shadow seems very pushed. All of these seem very pushed, barring perhaps Amy. And then Super State, 7 mana, Enchantment Aura. Enchantment creature has base power and toughness 9/9 as flying, first strike, trample, and haste. And whenever enchantment creature deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to each other opponent too. So this is like one of the best like Voltron enchantments we've ever seen. It's completely colorless, so it can be cost reduced and played in any color of deck. It's going to allow decks like Bruna, for example, or even if we go real classic, Urel, to one-shot the entire table, which is kind of scary, and it also feels like a rather... Well, it is 7 mana, but you can cheat these into play pretty easy. Aura Swap and similar. I do feel like this is a very pushed, like, sell me kind of card in the set, but that's the case for all of these, right? They're all pushed to sell, let's be honest. I may get in queue for these and then see the queues be a fucking mess and then just nope out. I do want the unique ones just simply because I just love this era. I love the Mega Drive era and the Dreamcast era of Sega. So yeah, maybe I'll be in line for this. Overall, the designs for the main cards are pretty cool. There is shallowness in the universes beyond being shown, and I think they're all really fucking pushed, which I think is super I say interesting, but super telling of the direction that these things often go. These feel more pushed than the Street Fighter cards, but maybe I don't know. Let me know if you think they're more pushed than, say, Street Fighter or Stranger Things. I think they are. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit, and maybe check out my Patreon to give me some fucking money. I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta for now.